I'm VinzerFlinn. Welcome back to the Book of Flinn, where we are beginning our Season 3 rewatches of Star Wars Clone Wars and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And joining me on this epic journey is someone who, after years and years, I've finally gotten into my D&D group. It's Reigna and Vinzer.
It's true. Hello, everybody. I have joined the D&D campaign that I've been on the periphery of for the better part of 8.5 years now.
And what happened within 5 minutes of playing?
You mean getting a whole town of people to pass out by playing a magical lute with my friend and flying over the audience?
So our good friend Artemis Flynn plays a troublesome magic user who has recently come into possession of a magical lute, and everyone was on the ship, anchored in the harbor, and we were going to go into the city the next day, but no, Artemis said, all right, let's sneak out. They teleported her and Raina's character into town where they deployed the magical lute, and basically people danced till they dropped, and absolute chaos ensued. So it was a real good start.
It was an epic concert, and we made a lot of coin that day.
A lot of fishermen and citizens went home not knowing what quite happened, and their wives were like, where have you been all night?
Well, I mean, it's not like they could go anywhere until we cleared the way anyways, so we were
That's
just
true.
entertaining them and having a good time.
The city's under a blockade, so yeah, just giving them something to do. The music finally stopped, and they all dropped. They're like, oh god, thank god.
Because Artemis, of course... Because she, at that moment, decides to roll a nat 20 for flying through the air with a lute over the crowd.
I kind of tried to stop it before it got out of hand, but then I was like, roll this, and, she was drunk on top of things, and like, minus this, and then she rolls a natural 20. I'm like, well, fuck, this is happening.
Hey, at least we didn't go through the heist, okay? At least I talked her out of the heist.
As soon as you guys said, like, we want to do, like, a museum heist or something, I was like, look, if you make me improv this whole thing on the spot, I'm going to be upset.
A DM should be prepared for any scenario.
To be clear, I could have done it, but you would have paid for it somehow.
Yeah, no, I talked her out of that. I wanted to get back to the mission.
Anyway, it was a good first session, so I'm very happy you're in the D&D group and having fun.
Yes.
Well, it's time to get back to work. We've had a nice long hiatus, but we're back for Season 3. So I've never seen Buffy. Raina's never seen Clone Wars, so we're going to jump right in. And shall we start with Clone Wars as usual?
Absolutely. All right, Season 3, Episode 1, Clone Cadets. Brothers in arms are brothers for life. And the recap for the previous seasons is we get a propaganda moment when the Batman voice, because I forgot it was General Cleese, was talking about...
Batman?
Same bat time, same bat channel. It's very much that.
I went to Christian Bale like, last time on Clone Wars. Shit.
No. Better Batman. Go back further. We get a bit of a propaganda moment with the recap when General Cleese is talking about valor and bravery. We center in on the beautiful and sunny Camino with a Jedi General Shakti. I just called her Shoddy for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, Shakti. But yeah,
Shakti. Cool. As well as 2 bounty hunters. Until I learned their names, they're Boomerang, and I had so much of a trouble with this stone pompadour brain man. I didn't know what was going on with any of his look. I do come to his name, but I think I get it wrong, and I think I call him like a different name for the rest of the episode.
I think it was Breck or something like that, but I just kept calling him Big Brain. I was like, hey, your brain's on the right side of your head.
I didn't call him that for sure. Stoned pompadour for now. Cadets go through some very rigorous training before heading off to fight. We cut over to the training room where the scene is the cadets are taking heavy fire from the training drones. One of them seems to be taking the lead, kind of, and then they're making headway, kind of. They get a new order from command, And Echo, which is a name I recognized, tries to relay a message, and he gets snark from one of the ones who's taking point. And then we learn why his name is Echo, because he repeats all the commands. CT-782, who I go on to just call number 1 kind of for the rest of the episode because they have numbers on them. He has his moment of glory with his heavy artillery, and Echo is urging caution, and number 1 starts to clear them a path and follow towards the objective. Another one snags number 2 from getting smashed up, and then he proceeds to call him like his really long number, like CT 20 70 55 55, and he's like, oh, for the love of God, it's 5s.
What's your nickname? OCD?
From above, they're being observed by Shoddy, Boomerang, and Pompous Door. I call them that because of his suggestion of what to do with the bickering cadets below. He's like, oh, just cut them. And it's like, what? No, we're not just cutting them. And then they call him Rick. I thought his name was Rick, so I call him Rick for the rest of the episode.
Hey, go easy on him, Rick.
I should have known that his name would be Rick, because look at that chin. So we have Echo, who's wearing number 3. CT-782, who's wearing number 1. We've got Tweedle 4 and Tweedle 5s, who spend the most of the time fighting with each other. And the number 2 just surrenders. They call them the Domino Squad, which I'm like, too many words, too many syllables, D Squad. The Jedi General goes on to call 99. Call on 99 to clean out, and turns out it's an Igor-looking clone.
Yeah, a bad batcher.
Yeah, he's an early batch. He looks older. They're in the barracks, and we overhear a conversation as the camera pans down, and it's like, I met this lady, and I said to her, and he's like, you haven't even met her, girl.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is 4 and 5.
You like these fucking coffins that they have them sleep in the wall? Like, must be like little cryo sleep tubes or something. Be like, I ain't sleeping in there. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I hate that. 99's trying to reassure them that they'll pass, and number 1's like patting him on the head and dismissing him, like being super patronizing. And number 1, I'm pretty sure, starts berating his other squad mates, and him and Echo, I think, end up in a fist fight. It was finally broken up by Rick. Rick goes on, and he's so disappointed in their lack of improvement, and says that even 99, a mere maintenance clone, has more sense than them. Rick, shut up.
Rick's a dick.
Yeah, Rick the dick. He finishes up his boomer parenting motivational speech with a classic, "You're all a waste of my time." Over in another Camino building, Shoddy is sharing her concerns with one of the Caminos, and at least I stopped calling them Campinos. I've made progress.
In my head, I called them, with an old Mandalorian non-canon book, called them fish bait.
We get a nod to that name later in this episode, kind of. And Camino says that the reason for their lack of ability is due to the Jango Fett DNA being heavily diluted now that he's dead, because they've had to stretch it so thin.
Yeah, I was wondering how often they had to refresh that. It's all right, Jango, spit in the cup. Some shit, you know? I mean, it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, that's true.
Jango, go in the bathroom with this cup. All right, well, give me that Playboy magazine and I'll get you a fresh batch.
Play, Twi'lek. The Camino idly suggests over a drink that he just do away with the Domino Squad, and Shoddy's like, they're still living beings. Is anybody not remembering that part? Like, they're still living? To which I said in capital letters, yes, they are. Nice of a Jedi to recognize that every once in a while.
Yeah, we're still going to send them into an illegal, unethical war as cannon fodder, but yeah, they're real people.
But I'm going to make sure that they're prepped for it first. They're lucky that they didn't send in less awesome Nick Fury, whose name I completely forgot again, to do the job. That's it. And he'd have waved at them dismissively and then just left.
Yeah, I saw a post about him recently about something we covered in the last season about young Boba being angry at Mace, and Mace is like, well, shit happens. Like, he didn't say, I'm sorry you lost your father and that had to happen. Like, Mace was a complete dick about that, just as an aside. But we're not the only ones who noticed that, you know, like, it was a way wrong answer to a kid who lost his dad.
His day will come. Oh, yes.
The one who murdered his dad.
His day will come. Over in a different Camino building, Rick has the cadets in formation in preparation for the final test. He introduces an ARC trooper by the name of Commander Colt of the Rancor Battalion, who I just call Rancor for the rest of this. He gives a rousing speech and then he brings up Bravo unit first. And it's worth noting that every other squad is in sync, whereas the D squad, why not the Delta squad, don't know, they can't even turn in formation and they sound like a machine gun. That's just the drill and ceremonial cadet in me noticing that. The judges, who consist of Boomerang, Rick, Rancor, and then unnamed blue and yellow commanders. Do we know them? Are we supposed to?
I don't think so. I think they're just the ARC troopers are supposed to be the elite of the elite.
Got it. Head into the observation booth and they begin the test. And the setup kind of looks a little bit like where Hitler used to deliver his speeches, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's just that sort of a blocky, brutalist construction, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's watching Bravo team just mow through the opposition, and D squad's like, we could totally do better, and it's like, no, guys, no, like don't even know.
There was a tiny little Easter egg because they called it the Citadel Challenge, and the number they assigned to was THX1138, and that's just anyone who watches Lucas Star Wars stuff knows that the THX thing one is the sound thing that they used. In the 90s, the audience is listening and it would ramp up the theaters. Wow. But 1138 is a number that keeps recurring in Star Wars, like A New Hope. Luke with Chewie says prisoner transfer from cell block 1138. Like 1138 keeps turning up in Star Wars. Just a little Easter egg.
And you know what? I was actually going to write that down and be like, no, that's that. And then ask you, like, is this an Easter egg of some sort? And I went, no, that would be too obsessive. Frank, I'm doing it from now on. So Bravo team just blows everybody else out of the water, and D squad is up next. When the Rancor asks about them, let's just say they wouldn't win any bluffs with those faces. Like the two bounty hunters are like, Rick in the background, he's like, no. And then as soon as Boomerang looks at him, he's like, he just kind of puts on a neutral face. I'm like, way to go. Bravo team starts making snide comments to the D squad as they pass, knowing that, we're better. D squad performs exactly how you would expect. And then when one of their team is injured, number 1 so focused on the objective that he orders number 4 to leave droid bait number 5 behind. Once he does this, the simulation is stopped, and that is it. They frigged up because they left somebody behind. They broke the number 1 rule. In the barracks, 99 is following along and being such a creeper with Rick and Boomerang as they're discussing this and what to do with the Domino squad. Boomerang wants them to be allowed to retake the test, and Rick just wants that money. He's already requested that they be moved down to cleaning and maintenance. And 99 seems really upset by thinking that these guys are going to be moved down to his level, which don't even freaking get me started. Okay.
99's like, you get your own thing. I'm taking care of this maintenance stuff. Get your own gig.
Okay, 2020 has taught us anything. It is the maintenance people are the backbone of this entire society, and I just don't like the respect that 99 is not being shown right now. Anyways.
Well, no spoilers, but I can promise you will see 99 again in the future.
Good. I figured when they said one thing earlier, because they were like, yeah, bad batch number 99 over here, and I was just like, I heard that.
That's going to become pretty important in a few seasons. We'll get there.
The judge's booth, Shoddy is contemplating her decision when 2 cadets walk in. Not sure who these 2 are. I think one of them's 5s, because the other one calls the other one 5s. And then I don't know who it is. I think it might be number 4. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've really lost track of who was who in this episode. I mean, they're all wearing very similar, the red jumpsuits and stuff. But yeah, they don't have distinctive hair or features yet. So it was really, I couldn't tell them apart.
Exactly. Shoddy denies the request to let them transfer to another unit. She's like, no, you guys need to learn to work as a team, so frig off and go do that. You're going to retake the test tomorrow. At a different building in Camino, Rick's out on the platform enjoying the monsoon when one of the cadets joins him. They have a really weird, exchange. I don't really understand. It's very choppy the way it's written. I don't know. Were they flirting with each other? What was happening? The vibes were very off in this conversation.
Yeah, and the thing to remember is like this guy's like Big Brain Rick here. They're not like soldiers or officers. They're hired bounty hunters. They're effectively combat mercenaries brought in to train. And this is a little callback I do like that's similar to the non-canon books, which is what they did to teach clone troopers. They brought in like Mandalorians and stuff to teach the commandos. So they did bring in outside, people with skills and stuff. So yeah, like Boomerang Head and Big Brain Rick, they're outsiders. They were just hired. They're just bounty hunters. So they're not like, officers per se.
No, but they just have a really weird exchange, and Rick's like, "You hate me, admit it." And I'm like, when did this turn into a marital fight? What happened here?
It was odd.
It was very awkward, very passive aggressive, and then it becomes very aggressive because he like uppercuts him to the gut, and then Rick, after roughing him up, accuses him of being a jokester, and then that's how this one gets his nickname Cut Up.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Yep. Back at the barracks, the rest of the squad goes to bed, but one of the cadets sneaks out, and I think it's number 1, judging by the gun that he carries with him. 99 calls him on it, and actually calls him Heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, calls him Heavy, and Heavy is just leading this pity parade, and he even takes like a pot shot at 99 being a bad batch, and 99 doesn't even seem concerned by this. He's like, yeah, well, at least you have a team. Like, frig off. And Heavy gets mad at the nickname, and 99 in this like father moment, he's just like, you guys always had names to me, and I'm like,
I know,
please.
right? 99 is like, he just gets you in the heart every time.
99 better be protected or I'm rage quitting right now. Next day in the barracks, the D squad's looking around for Heavy. There's a joke in there somewhere. And just as we think he's gone AWOL, he shows up and he embraces the name Heavy by announcing it to the rest of the squad. So I'm like,
I'd like to know how he was planning on going AWOL from, like, he'd have to steal a ship. It feels like it'd be a hard place to get out of,
And 99 is the nicknamer. Like, he's the guy who gives them some of their nicknames. Like, he's like, I got 99 problems and a nickname ain't one. At the training center, the test is about to start again, and the team has a different energy than they did before. As soon as Heavy came back, it's like they clicked together. They're listening up, they're looking out for each other. They reach the same point, the final approach to Citadel, and as they go to scale the wall, they're like, where are our cables? Boomerang, who's up in the stands, notices the same thing, and Rick's like, oh, where did they go? They realize quickly that Rick had sabotaged the cadets' gear, and Boomerang's about to like just take them to go. And Shoddy's like, no, let's just see how this plays out. While these judges are bickering and arguing, D Squad already comes up with a plan. They blast out the guns, scale the wall, do their job. Their flabbers are gasted.
Ugh.
I have no regrets. The D Squad conquers all, and Shoddy commends the training of the bounty hunters for their success, and commends their sabotage attempt, being like, without you doing that sabotaging, we wouldn't have seen their ingenuity.
Oh yeah, it was on purpose. Yeah, okay.
Way to put the blame in the wrong place. Like, not the blame. Way to put the praise in the wrong place. Like, frig off. The barracks, we see the team receiving their medals, and Heavy and 99 have a touching moment. Heavy actually gives 99 his medal and is like, I'm going to be coming back for that. So he has to come back and visit him, and makes him feel like he's one of the team, because that's one thing 99 said before, is that he's never really had a team like that. He never got a chance to fail the test. The graduation, Shoddy's like, congratulations on passing this test. Now go die.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the that's pretty much the end of the episode. The prediction was correct, but when did we see these cadets last? Because I know we saw Echo.
That was, yeah, we've seen the before fives and Heavy. They were involved, and they were in the episode we covered a while back where they were defending an outpost, and they were like, it's sort of where they came together as they really cut their teeth in combat, sort of thing. It was when Rex was in that one.
I was sorting them into their Harry Potter houses.
Maybe, but they were like defending an outpost, and Rex was in it, and there was like those commando droids, and then
Yes.
and they had to defend it, and they were still kind of green, but that's
Yeah.
where they they got like the symbols on their armor and stuff like that, and became more distinctive. But yeah, like I was a little confused, like when I started watching this because I haven't watched the series, in ages. So I was like, wait a second, is this the right one? I'm like, yeah, it's just a flashback episode, so it was a little confusing for us because yeah, we have seen Echo and Fives before.
Well, I don't really have many like deep thoughts for this episode. There wasn't. I don't know. I think that it really speaks to how the clones are perceived by the Jedi and Caminos. Like they're very dismissive. They think of them as stock product. They think of them as fodder, and I hates it.
Yeah, I like this episode too because I like anything that's clone centric and gets into who they are as individuals and stuff like that. And even though you know that they're gonna pass, like I was really invested in their effort. Like the victory it's all very emotional, but then then they just get marched off to a war where they're gonna get ground up. But in particular, I liked where Heavy gave 99 the medal. I was like, oh, but, I mean, it was anything with clones I like. And it's the Clone Wars. I think that we should definitely have focused more on the clones and less on the Jedi shit. But yeah, I like it. It was a good little flashback episode, and anything with the clones is good by me.
It reminds me that I still am a proud supporter of crap, clones, rights, and protections.
Yep. Okay, ready for Buffy Season 3, Episode 1.
Yes.
The title is just Anne.
Anne.
Anne. I used to work with a guy at Rogue's Roost in the kitchen, and we used to watch Wheel of Fortune in the background. Whenever someone picked an N, he would go, Anne! And just to this day, he kills me. Anyway, I digress. My prediction for this episode, I didn't really have a prediction beyond that. By the end of the episode, things would return somewhat to a status quo to kind of kick the season off. So I did no real predictions beyond that for this one. So we kick off in the cemetery, which is always so well maintained. Like the groundskeeper keeps that lawn short. That guy's on it. And we get right off the bat, a vampire starts crawling out of the grave wearing his funeral suit, and Willow, Oz, and Xander try to deal with it, and Willow's like, what did she say? Come get it, big boy. And but she gets called out on that line, but she's no Buffy as far as the one-liners, shall we say.
One of the few times I agree with Xander in this episode is when he's like, come and get it, big boy. Like, that's the first order of business. Yeah. Let's sort that out.
There's only one other time I agree with him in this episode, as we will see. So the vampire, he pulls some gymnastics shit because apparently his name was Andy, another kid at the school. He was on the gymnastics team. So, great. We got a gymnastic vampire on the loose. Fantastic. Because he does get away. And Oz, it's just me, or is Oz doing he's like loping around werewolf style. He had Seth Green doing some weird moves. I assumed it was on purpose. And he tries to hurl a stake after him. And I was like, oh, here comes a dramatic kill. And no, he just hits a fucking rock or something, and then he says that never really works. So anyway, they're trying to take up the slack because Buffy's gone, and first day of school is the next day. But remember, Buffy's kicked out of school, and Xander can't wait to see Cordelia.
And he can't wait. He can't believe that he can't wait to see Cordelia.
Where do we get to what he's wearing in the school episode? In the school part of the episode. Anyway, so we go flash over to Buffy, and she's on a beach, and Angel's there, and it's obviously a dream because it's daytime and they're together. And he says, "I'll never leave, not even if you kill me." And then she wakes up in some depressing apartment, and I checked after the synopsis, and she's in L.A.
Yes.
So she's back in California. And she's working at a Greasy Spoon diner, surfing, gross old pricks that grabbing her ass and stuff like that. And a couple of love-struck teenagers who got permanent tattoos. And I wrote "bad idea" in caps.
I'm going to drop a picture in the chat that I had to copy and paste from my document.
It's the picture of the puking cat. Yeah, very accurate. So Buffy is using the name Anne, which apparently is her middle name. Anne. I'm Buffy Ann Summers. Anyway, we'll return to the teenagers with the bad idea tattoos are Rick and Lily. We'll get back to Lily shortly. So meanwhile, school is back in, and where we started the library in the scene, there's actually a bunch of kids in there. I'm like, holy shit, there's kids in the library.
I called this scene library with more students than it's ever seen.
They must have been the first two seasons. Like, look, there's no one ever in here, but these, like, we gotta put some other students in here. It's believable. Giles appreciates Willow and the gang keeping the vampire population down, but they seem to be operating under the idea that Buffy will come back eventually. And apparently they're got about a 50-50 success rate, which isn't bad considering they're just, well, I guess 2 kids and a werewolf. But yeah, their batting percentage is not as good as Buffy's.
And what is this man thinking? He's not even going out with them?
That's true, yeah. Well, he seems to be directing his energies to tracking Buffy down, as we'll see. Like, he's jumping on planes and running down leads, all of which have failed so far.
And I love that they're talking about vampires in a room full of students. Like, they're carrying on a conversation as if none of them were there.
Cordelia spent the summer at some resort. She's very anxious about seeing Xander. She's talking to Willow. Notes he has a tendency to fall for monsters. And I'm like, yep, that's pretty true. Mm. Then, how's my hair? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. How's my hair? Apparently Oz never graduated, so it looks like he's back in school. He's a night owl, I can relate. So he's got his books and looks like he's going to repeat. What grade are they in at this point, 11?
12. They're in grade 12.
Oh, they're
now.
actually
this is their senior year.
Okay.
Yeah. Oz is just bringing up now. He's seen them all summer. And it's funny because he's like, hey, do you remember when I didn't go to summer school? She was like, what?
He's too busy smoking weed and playing in his band. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, here we come to Xander with his fucking popped collar. I'm like, give me a break. He's got a puka shell necklace or something going there, too. I'm like, he's just oozing 90s.
The teacher in this scene gets me. He's just like, whoa, be somber.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah.
He's chill. I bet you Xander smells like Drakkar Noir.
All I know is that he says, I'm starting to be geeky, and I'm like, starting?
Some jock in the hallway says if they can keep the mysterious deaths down, Sunnydale's going to rule this year.
It's Larry.
Was that Larry? Okay.
Yeah, it was Larry. It was originally, I read in the Watcher's Guide that it was actually supposed to be Danny Strong's character, Jonathan Levinson.
Oh, right. Of course, Danny. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the one who was supposed to say that, but they switched it to Larry. Because I guess that makes more sense working it into the jock thing, because they're like,
yeah.
Like, we could just not have so many of our teammates just turn into fish and die. Like,
these guys are still out there somewhere.
It's true, they are.
Cordelia and Xander's meeting goes as expected. They're both very obviously want to see each other, and they're very anxious about it. But when they get to actually face to face, it becomes very awkward and dismissive. It's like, hi, bye kind of thing. But that tracks for high school shit, honestly.
The tension between Xander and Cordelia is somewhere else.
So Buffy's all depressed. She's walking to work, and there's lots of homeless people around, and one's in an alcove. She keeps repeating, I'm no one, which is actually, it was quite sad, actually. So Giles has a lead about a girl in Oakland fighting off vampires. Like I said, the leads haven't been good, so he gets on a plane. Xander thinks Giles will find her when she wants to be found, which is the only other time I agree with him in this episode.
Yep. And Giles is also Employee of the Year by leaving on a personal trip on the first day of school.
Yeah, really. So Buffy's stopped by Lily on the street. She was in a cult worshipping vampires, and so she recognized Buffy, and that's when we find out Anne is Buffy's middle name. Do
you remember Lily?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Buffy tells Lily back when she's using the name Chanterelle, and she says, well, that's a mushroom. Really? That's embarrassing. Well, it is exotic. So Lily's done some time in cults. She seems like the kind that cults would scoop up continually.
Yeah.
And she invites Buffy to a 90s rave in some guy's basement. And I'm like, wow, you can pass up on a 90s rave? She really does want to be alone.
She says... Lily says that her name is cool for now, and I'm like, it should be forever, considering Ricky just put it on his frickin' body.
Yep.
But
so, fellow on the street bumps into them, sort of bumps right through them, and then he walks into traffic saying he's no one, and Buffy saves him, and she takes the hit herself. But of course, she's just fine. She does nothing for her. She gets back up, and they're like, oh, call an ambulance. She's like, no, leave me alone. And she takes up. So she runs off and bumps into this fucking Christian-looking guy with leaflets, Ken, and gives her leaflets like an outreach program, helping people helping homeless people and things like that. So, and I'm sure I've seen this guy in a fucking Seinfeld episode or something. He's one of those guys that pops up in the 90s.
Yep.
Then we do a little sad music montage that transitions to a live band of the Bronze, giving off major 90s vibes again. And the Bronze looks more than ever like a cross between Central Perk and half the bars I went to in the 90s. Xander's on the couch. He goes, boy, I'm glad we showed up for depressing night.
Book these guys. I hope they have livelier music. If not, there's going to be a lot more deaths on the hands because they're all just going to die from boredom.
So he obsesses over Cordelia. Willow's wondering about Buffy. And this is a question I had when I saw Buffy had moved away. Is Joyce still around? And yep, she's still living in the house in Sunnydale. And Giles stops by about the lead, but like the others, it didn't pan out. It's so weird to me that Joyce is finally looped into things and Giles can talk to her openly about that. Like she's not in the dark anymore, not like it's not as much.
I have questions about when did he know that she got looped in? Because there's a lot of this conversation that we see that I feel like would have happened during their initial conversation. Like there's parts of this conversation that makes it feel like it's the first time that they've spoken to each other. And then there are certain parts of this conversation that makes you think that they've been in pretty much a constant communication all summer. So which one is it? It's weird because like the verbal smackdown that Joyce rightfully gives Giles in this scene for having a full, parent-style relationship behind her back, that would have taken place in one of the early conversations that they would have had. It feels out of place, I guess, if they've been in communication, which this conversation also implies. So it just feels very disjointed.
Yeah, like it feels like that blaming him thing would have happened much sooner. Anyway, Giles doesn't believe Buffy is in any actual danger, as much as they want to find her. So Lily comes to the diner, says Ricky, her boyfriend's missing, and she can't go to the police because Ricky skipped on his parole or something like that. But Buffy's like, no, I don't want to help you. But she does relent, and they go to a blood donation clinic to look for him. This is a great line. Says, this will go faster if we split up. Can I come with you? And Buffy's like, what?
Where did I lose you? As soon as they walk into the clinic, you can already see that Buffy's body language is changing. She's been walking very like shoulders down, very hunched, very like closed off. And in this one, she's got her arms back open and she's kind of walking into the room like she kind of owns the place. So you're starting to notice her kind of coming back into her own. Particularly in this scene, I noticed her body language kind of shift into investigation mode.
So the blood technician working there says Ricky hasn't signed in, but when they leave, her face gets all weird and suspicious. So there's definitely something shady happening, of course. And Buffy does some searching in the back alleys and homeless encampments, and she finds a guy who looks like he drank a whole bottle of bleach. Like they focus on this fucking bottle of bleach sitting next to this poor bastard. And it's an older guy, but he's got the same tattoo Ricky did. So,
if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the same guy she pushed out of the way in the street.
I think so, yeah. I think that was like a little foreshadowing kind of thing. So Buffy tells Lily that she thinks Ricky is dead, but he looked about 80, like something drained the life out of him, but not like a vampire, because Lily would understand that. And Lily half-heartedly tries to blame Buffy because monsters seem to follow in her wake, and Buffy's just like, this shit ain't on me, man.
Yep.
Now, Lily leaves her apartment, and creepy Christian Ken, which is what I'm calling him, he sidles up out of the shadows out of nowhere off frame, and he's like, are you okay? Ken knows who Lily is, says he's seen Ricky, and he's with us now. Come to family home, and we'll take care of you. And I'm like, I bet. You're about to get scooped up by another cult. So Buffy can't help but do, what she is, and she breaks into the blood bank, and even depressed as shit and trying to hide, she can't help but do her job. And the blood tech catches her and says, what are you doing? And Buffy's not even startled. Like she just it's like she just expected her to be there and just says, without missing a beat, breaking into your office and going through your private files. She says, I'm calling the police. And she just one-handedly tears the phone off the wall without even taking a step and goes back to reading the files. Just deals with that.
This would not fly today because everybody would have their own cell phone on them. So this is really something that could only work in the 90s.
It's funny because I thought if you'd have to make sure the cord was broken, because if you're just pulling it off the wall, it doesn't guarantee it's broken.
Exactly.
So Buffy finds candidates in the files, and the text says after a little pressure, she says she gives them the names of the healthy ones to Creepy Ken. And Creepy Ken is busy taking Lily to a cleansing ritual. And I'm like, yeah, nothing weird about this at all. Meanwhile, the Scooby Gang's back in the graveyard using Cordelia as bait. And she says, where do I hide? You don't hide, you're bait. Go act baity. And as they're arguing, a little sidling in this episode, a vampire sidles in behind Willow. So Buffy shows up at the family home and says she needs help with what with the bad music and the sex. And I just suck it undercover and kicks the door. And I'm like, that's more like it.
Her lying is so good. And fun fact in this scene, one of the guys whose asses she kicks is actually the stunt coordinator for the show.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
He also was in another episode. He was the vampire that she took out her frustrations on in Ted. Really, we should stake him now.
So Lily's doing this creepy cleansing ritual by this water pool with this black portals, rectangular. It looks like fucking Armis from that TNG episode where Tasha Yar got killed. It's like an oil slick. Anyway, she gets sucked into it. And Creepy Ken and Buffy struggle, and they fall into it too. And they appear, in some Freddy Krueger-style basement room within the black portals up in the ceiling. And Ken's face comes off, revealing the demonic-looking one underneath, and he calls for some guards. And Buffy and Lily, actually wrote Willow by mistake, Buffy and Lily run into some sort of hellish underworld foundry where people are being worked as slaves. And Ken manages to punch Buffy out. But meanwhile, Xander and Cordelia are still fighting when Willow gets attacked, and Oz jumps into it, and then just chaos ensues, of course. And then some fucking how the vampire gets staked while he's sandwiched between Xander and Cordelia, and he gets dusted, so now they're on top of each other. Cue the romantic music and the makeout session. And between the outright depression and all the angst, I do not miss being a teenager in the 90s.
And good job on not accidentally staking your girlfriend.
Meanwhile, in the Demon Foundry, and I'm like, what are they even making here? Wherever they are, time flows differently, so people are aging out working here, and they're dumped back in the streets. So people will die of old age before anyone even wonders where they were. They said something like 100 years there is like a day on Earth. So that's, yeah, like these old people are being worked to death and just chucked back out, and people don't even know they're missing. It's pretty fucking evil when you think about it. So some demon foreman guy asks everyone, who are they, expecting a no one answer, which is what the homeless people were saying on the streets when they're put back. Their minds are broken. But Buffy cheerfully replies, I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you are?
Which she can say because she has lips. How are these guys saying half of their words? They don't even have lips. Anyways.
Honest to God. So Buffy starts kicking ass and says, anyone who's not having fun, follow me. And an alarm goes up. And Buffy puts Lily in charge of getting the group to the exit while she leads the guards in a chase and has quite a big scrap. And it looks like a Mortal Kombat level from the 90s. I'm like, oh, now she's got some axes and shit. The creepy demon Ken grabs Lily at knife point during their escape and forces Buffy into a standoff. But as he's monologuing, Lily pushes him off an edge and the fight starts up again. And Buffy seems to use her D&D, her bend bars, lift gates check. She uses her super strength to open a gate. So she's commenting what muscles it's working. She's like, I'm going to feel this for a week.
She really regretting putting off leg day for the last 3 months.
Well, you know who got leg day is Creepy Ken, because the portcullis comes down on his fucking calves, and I was just like, bleh.
Yeah, that one always gets me. I still cringe at that one, just the thought of it.
So people are escaping back out of the ceiling portal. They're climbing up into it. And Buffy does her impression of a really pissed off Gandhi and apparently bashes Ken's fucking head in.
This reminds me of that scene in A-Team where Bosco and Hannibal Smith are talking about Gandhi, and he's using him as a reason to not resort to violence and killing, and Hannibal's like, if it's inside of you, it's better to be let out, kind of thing. And he's like, who said that? Same guy. So it's like, yeah, this is, I guess, her impression of a really pissed off Gandhi. It is better to be violent if there is violence in our hearts than to put on a cloak of non-violence to cover impotence. That's the quote.
That's it. So they escape out the portal, which seals shut as they escape. And I'm like, did everyone get out? Because it feels like 6 people got out. I don't think everyone got out. They're stuck there now. That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the aftermath, Buffy gives Lily basically her apartment, her job, and her middle name. So Lily sort of gets a fresh lease on life. You better get to a tattoo artist immediately. And Buffy returns home to Sunnydale. Very sort of short and sweet ending there. She just knocks on the door. Joyce is there. Bam, end of the episode. So Buffy returns.
That mother's intuition, like Joyce knew when she stood up in the dining room. She's like, wait a minute, my daughter's at the door. Like, it was just a nice little nod to the mother intuition.
So my summary from this episode, I did like it, although if it weren't the season opener framed with Buffy trying to lay low somewhere else, it would have felt just like a Monster of the Week episode. Like, I didn't feel like it fed into the... maybe these demon guys will be back. I might be wrong about that. I probably am. But it didn't feel like it was continuing the overall narrative in a season opener. It did feel like a bit of a Monster of the Week sort of thing.
It was definitely Buffy getting her sea legs back under her. Like, she needed something where she was to remind her of who she was so that she has to go home. So it was basically, this plot was a plot device to get her to go back.
Yeah. I did like that a minor character from a previous episode can still return and play a new important part in a new story. So that's cool. It's like, it's just making the world seem more in depth and, I guess I don't want to say believable, but it's just cool that when, smaller characters will return and take part in a new story. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yep.
More monster world building, although it really didn't tell us much about this different dimension. Like I said, maybe we'll see more of these guys later. I don't know. And I like this episode fine, but I'm actually way more interested in the next episode because Buffy's back. Like, she's still kicked out of school. How is all that going to play out? So it's whetted my appetite for season 3.
Season 3 is probably one of my favorite seasons. It's a consistently good season. There are some duds. Can we skip next week's episode?
Can we skip next? Uh-oh. I just said I was interested in next week's episode. It's going to be a dud?
No, it's not. It's not a dud. It is very important to the plot-ish. And there's one quote in it that just needs to be heard. However, I will probably stand up and rage for a good portion of one of the scenes. So that's...
I feel like this is going to be Xander related. Until next time, remember, if someone's pissing you off, be like Gandhi and bash their head in. No, don't do that.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.